Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Krystal. We're business coaches and retreat hosts for bold, purpose-driven women who are ready to build businesses that actually fit their lives.
This podcast is for the authentic, rebellious entrepreneur who's done playing by everyone else's rules. We know what works because we've lived it, coached it, and savored the journey.
Join us for real talk on business, life, and everything in between.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Serendipitous Rebel podcast. And I am Wendy Guth, and I am here with Krystal Eicher. And today we are going to talk about a topic that is actually, I think it's really a super common thing in the entrepreneurial space, especially I think for solopreneurs. And drumbeat, that topic is it's the comparison trap. What if I'm behind everyone else? And I think it comes in a couple different flavors. It could come in the flavor of she's better than me, or it comes in the flavor of I should be further along by now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that thinking about it right now, looking back, I've fallen into those traps myself. I can't even tell you how many times. And I'm looking at Krystal and she's nodding her head. And what do you think of that?
The comparison trap hits us all so hard because of two things. One, we never think that this is going to take as long as it actually sometimes does.
Oh,
Okay?
yes. Yes.
And two, we sit in our silos, especially as online business owners. We sit in our silos, and how is it that we see other people's business? We actually don't see behind the scenes. We see what they project on social media.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us are very performative in our businesses because we want to project an aura of success or that we have it figured out, right? And
Yes.
so we look at other businesses around us who seem to be killing it, and we're like, man, we want what they have. We want that perfect funnel. And we try to figure out and reverse engineer that, except we don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. Yeah. And so let's start with that first one though, of like, we really think it's not going to take as long as it takes, because I don't know, because also online business is sold as this kind of get rich quick scheme almost, where it's almost, and not always, I think that there's a part of us that logically know that this is a business and it's going to take a while to get off the ground, but nobody really prepares you for how much capital and energy it takes to do that.
Oh, that's very, very true. And that definitely falls into the whole thing about you look at someone and you're like, oh, she's doing so much better than me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and what does that mean? Where is she in her journey? I think that's always how long has someone, oh, this person's an overnight success. Yet when you really dig into their story and learn about their journey, you find that they have been in business for 10 years and all of a sudden it's all clicked. And I also think about, and I remember having a coach who told me this story, that she knew of a coach who was putting it out there on social media, that absolute star, absolute, 7, 8 figures, all that kind of stuff, when in reality she was living in her parents' base, or not their basement, in their little, in the house, the over the garage,
guest house.
that kind of, yes, the guest house over the garage, and to save money, and was putting everything back into the business, which, hey, I have no qualms about any of that. And if that's how someone wants to make their way and make their, and develop their business, that's great. My issue always is how you project, as you said, the projection, how the performativeness of how you put yourself out there, and it's not authentic. It's not real. And that, I think, leads people to then say, how come I'm not where she is?
Yeah, because you don't know. I think businesses are like icebergs, okay? There is like the
Hmm.
part that you see, but there are so many layers
Right.
underneath, right? And so many different things going on. To your point, you're looking at someone, their instant success is actually most of the time a year 7 success or a third iteration of business success that you're seeing.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
so many things because we don't tend to announce on Instagram, well, we just launched a product. It completely flopped. It didn't, nobody bought it.
Oh, I really wish that we would do that. And I'm not just talking about us, I'm talking about the industry as a whole. If we actually did that and then said, this is what we learned from it, this
Yeah,
is what we took away from that. And everything that doesn't go according to plan can easily become a teachable moment for whether it's ourselves or our audience or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, because it's so much of this has to be normalized, right?
Hmm. Yes.
We've talked to clients. I remember we had a client who really thought, okay, I'm going to launch the thing. And it was a membership. I'm going to launch this membership. We should be able to get out the door in a couple weeks. And
Oh gosh,
I
yeah.
chuckled behind the scenes because launching an offer and getting things
Yes.
out it is like birthing a baby. It really is. There is a gestation period because it's not
Mhm.
so much um and don't get me wrong, I think there's ways that you can be scrappy and you just get sales pages out there, but you have to have an audience that you're talking to, right? And if you
Right, right.
put in place, there is list building that has to happen. There is all of the technical things behind the scenes to put something together.
Sure.
I mean, we're putting out a new quiz, a new lead magnet ourselves, and I it's not just building the quiz, it's creating the
Oh,
ads, it's
sure.
creating the landing page for the quiz to live on. I spent yesterday creating zaps and integrations with the quiz builder and FG funnels, which is our CRM. So there's so many different things behind the scenes that have to happen
Right.
before you put something out to market. And we don't see as from the consumer side, all of that hustle and extra work, right?
Right.
It sometimes feels like these things just appear. And that's really just not the case, right?
Oh, that is completely, yeah, that is spot on. And it's interesting because I really think when we look at comparison or comparisonitis, and how do you overcome this comparisonitis? Um, I think that it's really, first of all, it's something that we have to acknowledge it exists.
Hmm.
And I'm always going to look at someone, even though we know what it takes to do the stuff behind. In all likelihood, in our world, other coaches and entrepreneurs, they have a level of sophistication that we don't we don't see the back of it,
Hmm.
which is fine. And we know it's there, but there's this illusion kind of thing where even though we know, we're like, there, wow, how did she put that out so fast? And we have no idea how long it it takes.
And also to that point, the other question that you have to ask yourself, because we have had this moment where we can see really successful business owners and they are killing it.
Hmm.
They are living and working in such a way that we
Hmm.
have no desire to do ourselves.
Oh, exactly.
And so
Oh
there
yeah.
is the reality of that as well. Of I do believe in my heart of hearts that almost anybody is capable of big multi-million dollar successes. Okay. I really do think that the question really becomes, what are you willing to give up to get it? Or what are you willing to put in to get it?
Ding ding. Ding ding.
And, if I had 100 grand of capital to like infuse into Serendipitous Rebel
Mhm.
and go and work 60-hour weeks, we would have a completely different looking business than what
Of
it is that
course.
we do now.
Sure.
The question always becomes, what are you measuring yourself against? Does that align with the life that you want?
Exactly.
Okay. And when we're making all of those comparisons, you and I are completely different, are a great example. We're in completely different seasons of life. You are
Mhm.
empty nester, your kids are in college. Mine are in the second and seventh grade. We are just in the thick of it. Our
Yes.
bandwidths are slightly different when it comes to what it is that we want to prioritize. Which hats do we want to prioritize, if you will, at any
Mhm.
time? I wear a mom hat much more often these days than you do. And that's a choice, right? I could very easily say, you know what? Nope, I'm not going to do that. And everybody has to make those choices for themselves.
Well, exactly. And I think what I'd like our listeners to think about is that, because so comparison isn't just envy.
Mhm,
It's really information. And going along with exactly what you've said, this information I think sometimes can help point us to where we might feel misaligned,
mhm,
um, misunderstood, undernourished, out of sync, whatever it is, but with our goals. And
mhm,
also, because that's exactly it. I know of entrepreneurs who work 70, 80 hours. Oh my God, 78 hours, 70, 80 hours a week.
mhm.
I don't think we are aligned enough that we know that's not really our thing.
No, like,
No,
definitely not in this season of life, right? I
no,
think there was a hustle season before I
right.
had kids, and then
Yeah,
I'm in my mom era,
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that so it's being able, when we look at other people and we look at, oh my God, she's killing it, or she's better than me, or I should be further along. It's always to look at that and take a step back. And as you do like a reframe, it's looking, it goes down to what your goals are, what your own
Mhm.
goals are. And being able to compare to someone else should actually be used as a way for clarification for what you want. What you want.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's possible that it's possible to look at someone and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe where she is, how much she's accomplished, all this stuff. But if you take a step back for a second and say, well, I know for a fact that, you know, she works a lot of hours, or has a tremendous investment,
Mhm,
whatever her wherever she directs her resources,
mhm.
time, money, energy, whatever it is. It's a matter of really knowing where that person is compared to where you want to be. So, yeah.
Yeah, and how does that fit into your lifestyle and your business model? Because there are other
Mhm.
business models lend themselves to needing to be more hands-on. That's partly why we closed our membership years ago,
Yeah.
was because the reality of it is that a membership model takes a tremendous amount of back end work. There's constant course creation, there's constant community
Mhm.
engagement, customer service needs are really high in a membership. It's a really high touch point thing. And I don't care if it's a low ticket membership or a high ticket. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that take to get that going.
Well, here, I can just say, I absolutely, completely agree with you. Absolutely 100%. And I think about the membership that we were in and how absolutely misaligned, and on a number of different levels. And I think about I wish we could have at that time, and we did eventually, but take a step back and ask, or think of it this way: comparison loses its power when you know your purpose. And I think that's exactly, actually, that is exactly where we got to. We knew other people with memberships that were rocking this world. We
Mhm.
didn't necessarily know the behind the scenes, how that the workings of it. We knew how much they probably would bring in. We didn't know about their how they chose to systemize things or divide up work, all those sorts of things. So to look at someone and be like, oh, they have a great membership, I want that membership. Looking at again where our resources fit, and also what our where did our purpose fit.
Yeah, because without that alignment foundationally there, you're not going to have the resilience that you're going to need to get through what will inevitably be hard days in
Yes.
online business.
Yes.
And, it's why align with your passion and purpose is one of the main pillars of Savor. And what
Mm-hmm.
we talk about so much with our clients when we work on strategy with our clients and we work in our coaching and on our retreats, we really always want to look at that piece because it's to me, it should always be part of your offer validation piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to really understand, like, is this in alignment with your passion, purpose, what it is that you want to do? And that's not a linear thing either. And that's a whole other podcast. But I think that knowing what it is that you're wanting to get out of this allows you to look at, okay, other people that you're wanting to model after or
Mm-hmm.
that comparison piece, right?
Yeah.
And ask the hard question, like we said, is this person operating and living the life that I also want to live?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's letting you be the driver of the goals
Mm-hmm.
because I think that a lot of people have what I would call like top down goal setting, which is
Mm-hmm.
um, they're picking an arbitrary number pie in the sky without any real foundational pieces to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then understanding everything that it takes to get there. And that's beyond just can you sell your thing because all of us can sell a thing. Okay.
Yes.
That's looking at foundationally all the other pieces that are going to have to go into it behind the scenes to make that happen. And that's, I think, it's lost in the comparison game so often because I think sometimes we just want to compare revenues or
Yes.
just compare, end numbers, right?
Right.
And but we're missing that other piece of, again, the time, the value, all the other
Mm-hmm.
pieces of it.
Yeah. I really think that when we are really deeply rooted in what our business and our season are all about, um, we actually stop measuring
Mhm,
by someone else's yardstick,
mhm,
um, or at least try to. Though I do think that if you look at comparison, kind of with a little bit of a curious flair to it, like what is it in that person's story that is do I find interesting or is
mhm,
lighting me up or something like that. um I think it's a really cool thing if you can use whatever that spark is for your own direction,
mhm,
not as a method of judgment. It's not to
mhm,
say you know, and it's funny because I sort of like I have this thing where if I see something on social media that someone posts that I really like, I've told you this. Am I telling a big secret here? I'll
mhm,
take a screenshot and then I'll have a conversation with ChatGPT like, what would this look like if Wendy said it? Did I
mhm.
just tell a secret?
No,
No,
I
because I
think that's
think
a great
everyone
thing
does
because,
it.
well, I think some of our best content comes from, I think that being inspired by people
Yes,
was where
exactly.
comparison is
Yes.
existing. Okay. I
Yes.
think if you're able to take comparisons and
Yep.
give yourself just a lot, even a modicum of grace, but a lot
Yeah.
of grace is required in entrepreneurship.
Yep.
And be able to say, again, like you said, what can I learn from this? What are they
Yep.
doing really well that I can model? What are maybe they
Yeah. Why
not
not?
doing so well
Yeah.
that I could maybe do better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's understanding that there are both sides of it in
Mm-hmm.
the comparison, and giving yourself grace that you are actually not as far behind as you think you are, because it's not hard because you're doing it wrong. It's hard because it's actually freaking hard to be out
It's
here
weird.
doing it.
Yep.
Um, and I think that gets lost in the sauce so much
Mm.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I think that we think that, I'm the only one that can't figure this shit out. And I got to tell you, we have so many back end conversations with clients, all the people we mastermind with,
Mm-hmm.
our friends and colleagues that we keep in touch with.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is feeling the exact same struggles and going through the exact same thing.
Yep. 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 Yeah. And I think it's so interesting that when we look at each of our timelines are very personal and sacred to us.
Hmm.
And actually that's one of the things that I really love working on with clients is when you're looking at goal success, it's really how are you putting the pieces, the blocks in place for you to step over to achieve whatever goal it is. And it's always different. I do kind of laugh when, well, you can do this in exactly 5 days, or you can do this in exactly 2 weeks. And unless you crawl inside my head, which
Hmm.
would be really a horrifying thing to do, you don't actually really know how things, shuck and jive.
Well, yeah, because everybody's bringing different skill sets to the table too.
Yep. Yep.
And when and those always drive me batty. And the thing is, they'll never go away because, gosh darn it, if they're not quippy to sell from a marketing angle, 5 days to your first client,
Sure.
days to set up your website. And yeah, you
Yeah.
absolutely can. But some of us are more tech savvy than
Yep.
others. Okay.
Sure.
Some of us launch something really, really fast because we have a built-in audience and a built-in network.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have um, a lot of capital that we can put into place
Yeah.
right away for ads.
Sure. Or
Some
have
of
a lot
us
of time.
have a lot of time to spend,
Yeah.
and so they are hyper generating
Mm-hmm.
personalities that
Mm-hmm.
just not sit down and don't stop until they're done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us have kids that are interrupting them because they were off school
Sure.
this week. Some of us have health problems that
Yeah.
they're bringing to the table. There are
Yeah. So
so
there's
many
yeah.
factors that influence a
Yep.
person's success or not. And so again, if you're just not factoring in that big picture of things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not to discount people who have been successful, right? And I think about when we were in the travel industry, we would go to
Mm-hmm.
these conferences and we would sit in these panels and you'd listen to these people who were like, I made, 6 figures my first year.
Right.
Cool. They sold out a cruise and were able, and it was just like this instant, it felt like an instant overnight
Yes.
success, right?
Yep.
And it was for square dancing.
Yep.
Is that right? Was it square dancing?
Yes, it was.
It was. So you were at the same conference I was. So, they're selling out for square dancing. This person had been square dancing though for like 10 years as part of the
Yep.
society and was super integrated into the community. And so what looked like an instant success was actually 10 years in the making
Yep.
for
And
the
it was
stars to align.
as authentic as
Yeah.
you could ever possibly be, because this is something that she was personally doing,
Hmm.
selling, part of all that. Yeah.
Yeah. She was integrated in the community. It aligned with
Yeah.
the mission and purpose. It was it was really meant to be. But
Yes.
immediately you had all these people running out trying to sell out a cruise in insert blank, right?
Uh, Pickleball.
Pickleball.
That was
I think
huge. Yeah.
pickleball, I've seen spin classes over the years. I have
Yeah.
seen
And it's
all these
just,
other things. And again, unless you are part of this huge pickleball community, right?
right.
I'm sorry, that does mean more than the 4 or 5 people that you play with on the weekend. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like you're integrated in an actual league of
Yeah.
people, 100 people qualified to do the thing. Same thing with insert those things. Then you don't have the audience to make the thing work right away. Now, can we build the audience? You betcha.
Yes.
But like,
Exactly.
again, think about the time and effort and energy and money it's going
Yeah.
to do that. Okay. I would think the same thing for people who, I had a friend who actually just killed it in Pampered Chef, such a random
Hmm.
thing, right? Like she became a director like overnight. But she was the catering director for Bon Appetit magazine. She was so integrated into food
Yeah.
world. People saw her as a foodie. She was hosting dinner parties and
Yeah.
all these things for a decade leading up to it. So like selling something related to food and adjacent to food
Yeah.
was such a natural, good, organic fit
Yeah. Yeah.
that it absolutely made sense that she was going to be successful and operate well in that space. Okay. You have to have audience. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have to have the offer. And then you have to have all the technical pieces to pull it all together.
Hmm.
Okay. And without those three things, depending on where you're at in those three areas, that's going to determine your timeline and your success. Okay. All of them can be worked on, all of them can be grown.
Hmm.
But when we're looking at the comparison plan, I would look at where did people stand on those three areas when they went into the space that they're in.
Hmm.
That might have fueled their timeline a little faster than yours or not, right?
Yes. So let's take a slightly different spin to it,
Mhm.
and let's look at it from like a savor framework.
Okay.
Um,
As we do.
I know it's like, is that a surprise? And notice that I'm like, Crystal talks a lot about the marketing stuff because that is her magic, her special sauce. Yes. And I just agree with everything Crystal says in that regard, which I do. I do. Yes. And, but, but looking at this whole comparison-itis and overcoming comparison, I was really thinking about it in terms of how it fits into like savor. And
Mhm.
the first thing I would love to say to people is when you stepping out, what you're really stepping out is this scroll spiral.
Yeah. So when you step out of your comfort zone, step out of the scroll spiral.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because let's face it. We need as human beings to give our and I'm gonna say the word, our nervous system a break.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. There
Yeah.
gets to be a point where recognizing and understanding the fine line between a healthy comparison of like
Yes.
inspires to an
Yes.
unhealthy, and you're starting to feel
Yes. And
tricked
you
by something.
exactly. And you do not want this the whole point of social media is not to actually get you down that doom scroll. I'm not like her. I'm never going to be like her. Why can't I be like her? Why,
Mhm.
why can't, it's almost like, should I tank my business just to be like some random influencer whose story you don't even know?
Mhm.
So that's the first thing. And the thing is, and I'm not saying it's an easy thing because I think we are naturally wired. And the whole point of social media is designed to get us amped up.
Mhm.
So it's making that concerted effort to unamp ourselves. And then, as we've talked about, and you very eloquently talked about, it's really how we are aligned with our values, with our purpose, what's truly important to us right now. And we talk a lot about how we wear hats, how they change. I think, we look at things seasonally,
Mhm.
the hats shift and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to venturing under our own power, I really think it's making small moves towards whatever the version of success you want, the small steps. And maybe it is being sparked, or, ooh, that's kind of cool. I like that, or whatever it is. Actually, adding spark is a good thing. That
Mhm.
that gets you revved up. That gets you excited.
Yeah. Get you
And
out of your rut.
exactly. And then we do talk about this a lot. Just the being open to connection and the ability to talk about our fears instead of hiding behind them. And
Well,
that I think is so critically important.
and also just normalizing that feeling that you're not alone. I think
Exactly.
that the number one reason people come back to our retreat that we hear
Uh-huh.
a lot
Hmm.
is that they get community and connection with
Yes.
people, and it makes them realize that, like, wildly different industry, wildly different audience,
Yeah. Yeah.
same problems behind the scenes, same struggles, same
Yeah.
like thing that we're having to work through
Yeah.
constantly, same fears, same imposter syndrome,
Yep.
same.
Yeah. And the importance of being heard,
Yes,
truly
and
being heard.
validated.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, because once you put a fear out there, it doesn't hold the same power.
Yeah, well, and again, I think sometimes we live in a little bit of shame in
No,
our compare,
unfortunately, yeah.
and I know that I have over the years. I feel embarrassed or ashamed that maybe my bank account doesn't look where it needs to go, or
Who sees your
simply,
bank account?
hmm?
Who sees your bank account?
Oh no, but you do, but that's it.
Right, but I mean,
No, well,
yeah,
I know, but I think that again, you just start to think that,
yes, yes,
oh, it should be more, or we should have done this, or, again, shame when things don't work out and like things launch and flop. Now, I don't think that shame lives anymore in our business because
right,
we lead with a lot of curiosity,
yes,
and we can like, and I think we also vocalize it. Well, that sucked. Like, let's try
yeah,
that again.
yeah,
Where did that work?
yep,
Where can we tweak? Where can this get better? And I think that those conversations have made so many areas of our business so much better. But
yes,
when I think about, again, our community has been so vitally important because when things have gone wrong, or when things do go wrong, because I think inevitably they do in business, you have that community to draw from and say, "Oh yeah, I've been through that too. Oh, I've had, a charge back too, and we can like work that together." Or, "Oh, difficult clients, we can work through those things together."
hmm, yeah, oh yeah. And yeah, I think that, and that is such an important piece of it. I wish everyone had a partner like you.
I know. I Same, sister,
I
same.
know. And then I think about, where does, in the case of self-care, in this particular, like unwinding with self-care, I think it's our ability to regulate before we evaluate. So it's taking it down a notch and
Mhm.
taking it to a place where we slip from the shame to the curiosity. When we go from the lizard brain to more calming the other side of the non lizard brain, which fails me right now what it's called.
Don't ask me, I'm not
Yeah.
that person.
Okay. Yeah. It's just, it's not the fight or flight. We're taking it more to, we can look at things calmly and really be able to evaluate things in a way where we can say, oh, wow, that might actually work, or that might be a great thing, instead of, how come I'm not, the anxiety, the frustration, the overwhelm, all of that stuff that we look at from a really higher level, and just bringing it down to a much more calm place. And then I think that's where the curiosity kicks in, the spark kicks in, all that good stuff that actually really allows us to take advantage of what we see out there in the world that we can apply.
Yeah, because I think also it's kind of like, hurt people. And when we're not regulated or we're not happy with
Hmm.
what we're doing, it's easy to look at other businesses or other things outside of us, and that comparison gets to be really negative, and
Yeah.
it's negatively reflected on ourselves, or it's negatively reflected in other people, which I think is just as ugly sometimes.
Hmm.
But I think that when we're coming from that regulated place, that happy Zen state,
Yes,
then
exactly.
not only do we give ourselves grace when we see the comparison and we are like, oh, I'm not there yet, but yet is that key piece, or oh, I
Yes.
that, but this is what we're willing to work on. But you can also be happy for that other person's success
Yeah.
in such a way that you really can't be when you're coming at it from that unregulated, again, fight or flight
Yep.
hit spot, right? And I
Yeah.
think that energetically, that's so necessary for everyone's success.
Yeah. And I think it blends perfectly with the whole ritualizing gratitude,
Mhm,
because it's always so important to remind yourself, how far have I come?
mhm,
And I would encourage our listeners, when you're at this point, it's like you take a moment and you recenter yourself.
mhm,
And whether it's you stop and take a few cleansing breaths, some deep slow breathing, or get up and take a walk, stretch, do whatever makes you feel good to move your body and kind of get the whatever. I like to think of it literally as the ick out.
mhm.
And also, it's so important to actually name what you're feeling. So it's
Yeah,
like saying, well, I'm feeling the overwhelm of the comparison right now, because once you're able to label it, it reduces its power. You can tell we listen enough to Brene Brown.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then once you have this moment of recentering, think to yourself, what's actually true for you right now? What are you proud of?
Mhm.
What do you need to do next? And wrap that into moments of gratitude for how far you've come. And I
Yeah.
think that allows you to take advantage of the moment and spin what can be really like a doom scroll downward into something that's really a positive, creative, useful moments.
Yeah, and it actually takes your control back a little bit. The
Yes.
control back from being
Yes.
externally motivated to internally
Yes.
motivated, which
Yep.
is a huge difference when it
Yep.
comes to how you approach any problem in your business. When
Yep.
you are looking at the external and you're reactive, then that really sometimes becomes a race to the bottom. But if we're internally motivated and we can look at things, so much of our coaching over the years has been helping entrepreneurs pivot in their
Mhm.
businesses and pivot into, we've had a lot of people pivot into coaching,
Mhm.
pivot into new business models, things like that. And I like to think that less is pivoting and more is realigning, right? But
Yes.
it's that moment. But I think that people sometimes are scared to make those moves. I
Mhm.
would say almost every single one of our clients that has been in that position, it's like they're scared to make those moves because they are stuck in that comparison mindset.
Yes.
Think of the failure, and it's the first exercise we have all of them do. And you had me do this when you did coaching,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to pivot out of my travel business and into being a marketing coach. And
Mhm.
I it was, I feel like a failure. And,
Mhm.
comparing myself to other travel agents that were able to pull it off in a way that I couldn't. And you had me list out all of the things that
Mhm.
I learned and that I did well and one of
That
my
had nothing to do
experience
with money.
that had nothing to do with money.
That had nothing to do with money. And you had a pretty darn amazing, absolutely an amazing list.
Yeah, there were so many things I learned about business,
Yep.
about marketing as well, and about myself in the
Mhm.
process
Yeah.
that I was able to take into this next chapter that has been so much more rewarding and so much better. But if I had stayed stuck in that comparison game, I probably would have tried what to prove myself longer than I should have
Yes.
in a game that I just didn't care about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really do think that the key first step, because comparison thrives in silence,
Mhm,
is the ability to be in a comfortable space where you can articulate how you're feeling, to talk
mhm,
about it. And then once you were able to talk about it, it becomes easier to reframe it.
mhm,
And then it softens into self-awareness.
mhm.
And then you can make really good choices in your next step. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, looking back, um, I feel that so much of like the travel years were so, there was so much comparison, so much, and so much was of it was really performative and in silence
mhm.
that um yeah, and but it was a stepping stone. And that's the piece that I think is so important, that there really, unless you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and the same thing is detrimental and it's over and over again, and that's what I guess how they define insanity. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about opportunities. There's no real failures. There's opportunities to learn and opportunities to grow, and
Yeah,
everything becomes that stepping stone to where you're ultimately going to be on your journey. And hey, most journeys are not from point A to point B. Most journeys curve and swerve and take pit stops and all sorts of other things that sometimes we don't even know until it's there. I mean, we did not expect the pandemic. If things I mean, that was on nobody's bingo card.
yeah,
Um, no. And things could have been very different, maybe, had there been no pandemic. Who knows? But you sort of have to take, what is it? Take the lemon and make lemonade as you go along. And I
yeah.
think, yeah.
No, I
So-
agree.
yeah. Well, this has actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
Actually, most of our conversations, actually, just about all of our conversations are fun, as long as the internet works.
we find them very engaging anyway.
Yes, and hopefully everyone else does too.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining us. Just remember, you are not behind. You are right where you were supposed to be.
Yes.
And until next week, we will see you again and
Yes.
keep growing. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.